Assalamu alaikum. My name is Miss e-commercewali. I am the student of Rehan AI Teacher Training Institute. Today I want to talk with Maya and ask some questions about how to boost your productivity with simple tricks. Now I am going to call with Maya. How are you? Hello Maya, how are you?
Hey there. I'm doing well, thanks. How's everything going in Azad, Kashmir?
Everything will be
Anything
good.
new happening over there?
Yes,
That's
I
good to
want to
hear.
ask answer of this one question. Can you help me please?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. What do you
Wh-
need help with?
what does productivity mean
Go
to
ahead,
you
I'm listening.
personally?
That's a good question to sit with. For me personally, productivity isn't about ticking off a million tasks. It's more about getting the right things done in a way that actually feels sustainable rather than exhausting. What does it feel like to you when you're being productive?
Okay, great. What are my biggest daily distractions?
I bet there's a bunch of them. For most people, and maybe especially students, it's stuff like social media, YouTube, just generally getting sucked into random internet spirals. Also, when you're trying to focus on work, are there distractions in your physical environment? Like what's happening around you when you notice your mind wandering?
Okay. When am I most productive during the day?
That's a key one. Figuring out your natural rhythm. Some people are morning people who get a ton done before noon, while others really hit their stride in the late afternoon or evening. When do you find you're really in the zone without having to force it?
Okay. Which habits help me stay focused?
From what we've talked about before, you've already started figuring some of these out: Pomodoro technique, breaking down tasks, blocking study time. But what I'd add is experimentation. Different things work for different people. Maybe trying ambient noise, white noise, or a specific type of music while you work, or even just the ritual of making coffee or tea before you start. The goal is to create that I'm in work mode signal for your brain. What else have you tried or been curious about?
Okay. Which habits reduce my productivity?
Well, you mentioned procrastination earlier. That's a big one. But what specific procrastination habits get you the most? Is it getting stuck in the tomorrow trap, like you said, or scrolling on your phone when you should be working? And honestly, sometimes it's productive procrastination, doing a bunch of low priority tasks just to feel busy instead of tackling the important stuff.
Okay. How do I currently plan my day?
You're an AI teacher trainee right now. So planning out your day probably involves both your own studying and thinking about how you'd actually apply this stuff with future students. How do you typically structure your day at the moment? What does a normal day look like for you?
Okay. Am I prioritizing important tasks or urgent ones?
That's a really smart question to ask yourself. Usually, most people get caught up chasing urgent tasks, emails, texts, immediate requests, instead of really focusing on what's important for their long term goals. Important tasks are things like studying, working on your AI teacher training, or making time for family. Urgent tasks feel pressing, but don't necessarily move the needle on what matters most. Would you say you're spending more time on the urgent or the important stuff right now?
Okay. Do I use a to-do list effectively?
Most people don't really use to-do lists well. They just dump everything into one massive, overwhelming list. But to really work, to-do lists need structure. Prioritized, manageable tasks broken down into smaller steps. It also helps to review them at the beginning and end of each day. What does your current to-do list system look like? Do they like one long list, or do you break it down in some way? The trick is to make tasks so small they feel silly to put off. Like instead of write paper, it becomes research 3 sources, then write intro paragraph, then edit intro paragraph. Basically, you want to remove any excuse your brain has to avoid starting. It feels less daunting when you're just tackling a tiny piece at a time. What's one big task you're avoiding right now? We can break it down together if you want. You mentioned using Pomodoro before. That's a good start. But are you actually sticking to the timers? Sometimes people start using it, but then get distracted halfway through or don't really commit to the full work break cycle. Or maybe you're using the right timer, but it isn't working well for you. What's the deal with Pomodoro? Are you actually finding it helpful or more of an interesting idea you haven't quite made work?
Okay. How can I break big tasks
What's
into
your biggest barrier to sticking with? I think you meant how can I break big tasks into smaller problems, right? And with
Uh, do I multitask, and is it helping
yes,
or harming me?
for almost everyone, multitasking is harming, not helping. Your brain can't really do two cognitively demanding tasks at once. It just switches back and forth between them, and each switch costs you time and focus. Think of it like trying to run 2 computer programs at the same time with 2 little RAMs. Everything slows down. Are you noticing yourself trying to juggle multiple things or feeling scattered when you're working?
Okay. What helps me
Do you
regain
have a
focus
dedicated
quickly?
workspace, or I'm trying to say what helps me stick with it, or what help?
Okay, Maya. Thank you so much. This is very interesting answer.